Maybe you walked here today or carpooled or came on your bicycle, and however you got here, or if you are joining us via Zoom, we are so glad that you are here with us today. If you've looked at your bulletin and say, things look a little different today, that's because they are. We are having a somewhat abbreviated, condensed worship service today because, as you all know and are looking forward to, at the conclusion of worship, you'll have a few minutes to get coffee and some sugar down the hallway, and then we will hear from our sanctuary architect, George Fellner, who has joined us in worship today, and he'll be presenting some of the incredible options that he has put together for us. If you're here for the first time or first time in a long time, there are welcome cards. We'd love for you to fill that out. Let us know that you're here. And as always, our blue prayer cards. Both of those can be placed in the offering plate just a little later in the service. Friends, let us be called to worship.
Good morning. We gather in the presence of the one who breathes life into all of creation. We sing God's praises, breathing in God's glory. All are welcome in the presence of the Most High. We come seeking the goodness in the hands of God. We gather as God's beloved people, leaving no one outside. Together we reflect the fullness of God's love. Together we bring God's love into the world. Let us worship the living God whose breath gives us life. Today is Mental Health Sunday, and the WISE team is thankful to be part of the service today. And if anyone has questions about the WISE team or what we're working on, we will be in the coffee room afterwards. behind the retreat room. Here's a unison prayer of invocation. Holy One, be with us in this sacred space. Stir your spirit in and among us as we offer our prayers and praises. We long to hear more than the groaning of creation around us, more than our own fearful groaning, from the places deep within us that we mistakenly believe are hidden from you. May your Spirit intercede for us. Draw us into your presence. May we recognize you in ourselves and in our neighbors. Let us see you through all brokenness, that we may find wholeness in your body here and now. In the name of the one who fills the world with hope. Amen.
In addition to our recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month in May, today is also Jim Cox-Chapman's last official Sunday as a seminarian as he completes his journey at Yale Divinity School. One of the things we didn't get to see Jim do is deliver a message to our children. And I could not let this year go by without taking advantage of having Jim here to do that. So I'm going to ask Pastor Lauren and any of our young or young at heart people who wish to come forward now for a special message.
And I'd like to encourage what David said about the young at heart. In my sojourn here, listening to Lauren's children's messages, there's always been the young, but we've never had the young at heart dare to come up and stay with us. Sit with us. There are seats right here in the front. So I'm going to step down here. Can I just move? And today, what I'd like to do is discuss this book, which I'm told is one of Eliot's favorites. And Eliot also, he has lots of favorites, but this is certainly one of them. It's a book called God's Dream, and it's written by a lovely man who made a real impact in this world. Bishop Desmond Tutu. He came from South Africa, from a small village in South Africa, and he rose to a position of importance in the world. And what he was known for was one who was a peacemaker, or he wanted all of us to live with a higher amount of consensus. And consensus is when we're able to live together in agreement, peacefully, with each other. So let's read this book called God's Dream by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Dear child of God, what do you dream about in your loveliest of dreams? Do you dream about flying high or rainbows reaching along the sky? Do you dream about being free to do what your heart desires? Or being treated like a full person, no matter how young you might be? Now, do we have anybody amongst us who's done any dreaming? Anybody? Can you share any kind of dreams? And we're in my sense, we're talking about two kinds of dreams. There are dreams that you sleep, that when you're sleeping, you wake up from a dream. And then there are just dreams and hopes that you have about your life. Anybody? Have it?
I dreamed about getting a dog for years.
And I dreamed when I'm sleeping sometimes about not being ready for the next test or having to go through school again, all over once again. And actually being here with you in this capacity, in this church, for me this year has been a dream that's been in the back of my mind, and it's just been a pleasure to share. So anybody else with? No? All right. Well, we'll keep reading. All right. So I like that one. Or about being treated like a full person no matter how young you might be. This was Desmond Tutu's message to children. So, do you know what God dreams about? And if you close your eyes and look into your heart, I'm sure maybe you'll find out. Anybody have any idea what God might dream about? Yeah?
I think God dreams about dogs too.
I think also God dreams about peace.
God dreams about peace?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Anybody else? So God dreams about people sharing, and God dreams about people caring. And certainly caring and sharing are a form of peace. It's another way of kind of saying it. God dreams that we reach out and hold one another's hands and play one another's games, not just our game, and laugh with one another's hearts. But God doesn't force us to be friends or to love one another all the time. Dear child of God, and this is his message to you as children, it does happen that we get angry and hurt one another. And when that happens, we start to feel sad and very alone. Sometimes we cry, and God cries with us. And when we say we're sorry and forgive one another, we wipe away our tears and God's tears too. Now, I would imagine this has happened to all of you at some point, getting angry, storming off, and then apologizing and healing the bond. Each of us carries a piece of God's heart within us. And when we love each other, the pieces of God's heart are made whole. This is another thing that he wanted to say, which is we're all part of the same family. We're all humans. And there's just so much more we have in common with each other than our differences. God dreams that each one of us will see that we're all brothers and sisters. Yep, even you, even me. And even if we have different mommies and daddies, or we live in faraway lands. Even if we speak different languages and have different ways of talking to God. Because there are many children all over the world who talk to God, but maybe in a different language and with different customs than we do. Even if we have different eyes or different skin. Even if you're taller and I'm smaller. Even if your nose is little and mine is large. So even if we have differences, we are all children of God. Dear child of God, do you know how to make God's dream come true? Anybody have an idea? It's as easy as sharing, loving, caring. It's as easy as holding, playing, and laughing. And it's as easy as knowing we're all family because we're all God's children. So will you help God's dream come true?
Yes. Yes, we are.
How about all of you middle-aged at heart who are not young at heart down here? Yes? Okay. And when we do that, God will smile like a rainbow. So that's our message for this morning. I'm just wondering if there's any instances that you could, does this remind you of anything that's happened to you in school or differences, and then you work to kind of come together with any differences? Anybody have a story like that? I'm sure you all do. We all do. But when that happens, it'd be nice to think back to this book and about how we really are all God's children. And one of the things that I think that I have seen in this church is that your time together in this church is a way to kind of live out the differences and the fact that you spend time sharing and caring for each other and for this church. And for that, we hope that that's your experience here always.
My job today is to issue a very heartfelt but very brief invitation to the meeting after worship this morning. George Fellner, our architect, has done a terrific job for us, and all of the concepts he will be presenting, we feel, are very possible and very well thought out and very well illustrated. So here's the drill. As you know, David has this service scheduled down to the gnat's eyelash. So as soon as the short service is over, please go to the Figliuzzi room for the reception in Jim's honor. It's, as I said, in the Figliuzzi room. Load up your plate, there are cupcakes, and bring it back in 10 minutes so that we can get going. George will be ready to begin the presentation by then. There will be a wastebasket in the back of, I think we'll put it in the back of the sanctuary so that you can ditch your leftovers or paper goods or whatever. And, but please be back in about 10 minutes to hear George. Now, rather than music during the passing of the offering plates, as the offering is collected, we're going to run a short video prepared by our own Ed Ciccarello. And we think that this video, which some of you have seen before, illustrates really well that when it comes to considering changes to this beautiful, almost 220-year-old sanctuary, considering changes due to changing needs, this is definitely not our first rodeo. So will the greeters please come forward, and can we roll the video?
Rocky Hill Congregational Church, changes 1808 to the present. The Rocky Hill Congregational Church Meeting House stands prominently on the corner of Old Main Street in Rocky Hill, just up the hill from the Connecticut River and the Great Meadows. It was built in 1808, 216 years ago, in a once bucolic town of less than 1,000 inhabitants. Let's look back and acknowledge the many changes to the meeting house. Our original steeple looked like this meeting house in Bennington, Vermont. Wind damage and lightning impacted our steeple so much that it had to be redesigned into a more sturdy tower. Members thought to improve the tower by adding a clock and a bell in 1835. The bell sounded the alarm for fires, which sadly affected us in 1921. There have been two additions to our original meeting house. The first parish house lower level in 1948 and the upper level in 1953, and then the second parish house in 1993. Chapin Hall was renovated in 2007. The drab, dark hall was changed into the light and airy space we know of today. There have been historic changes inside the sanctuary as well. The meeting house was built without heat. Foot stoves and heated stones were used prior to 1827, when wood stoves were added. In 1903, a furnace was installed and steam heat in 1914. The wood stove in the northeast corner was replaced with pews in 1914. We don't know when the chandelier was installed, but documents say it is not original to the building. The space was originally lit by natural light and candles. Oil lights were introduced in 1850, then gas and finally electric lights in 1915. The entire sanctuary floor was raised in 1886, creating the steps we now know from the narthex into the main auditorium and lessening the distance from the main floor to the galleries. The galleries, the balconies, were used for meetings, Sunday school lessons, and activities. In 1903, the West Gallery was lowered to the level of the East Gallery. Our pulpit was changed 4 times. Originally, it was a high pulpit with a Palladian window behind it, similar to this church in Bennington, Vermont. In 1842, it was lowered to become a modern-style pulpit. Around 1887, it was renovated by Edward Tryon, and in 1938 it was changed to look like it does today, except for the digital display, which we added since COVID in 2020. A slave gallery existed in the southeast portion of the gallery from 1808 to 1842. In 1842, it was boarded up. Recently, we mounted a draft plaque on its wall in honor of those enslaved people who were kept behind those walls. The organ you see today is the 4th or 5th organ in this meeting house. A small organ called a melodeon was first installed in 1857, then a reed organ, then a pipe organ in 1895, and a larger pipe organ in 1908, of which Andrew Carnegie contributed $2,000. An electric Baldwin organ was introduced in 1949 and lasted 26 years before our present organ was installed in 1975. At one time, the singing choir performed from the choir loft, and the bell choir performed from the East Gallery. Within the last 10 years, both choirs have moved to the front of the sanctuary. Temporary staging, lighting, and a curtain were installed for the singing choir, as well as temporary tables, music stands, and lights for the bell choir. The choir loft is used occasionally now by Julie Hagan, our music director, who plays the organ. Its primary use now is as an audiovisual control room. There have been many changes in the 216-year history of this meeting house, and I hope that this short look back will help us with transforming our future. Change is a process born out of necessity where we grow together.
Our scripture today is from the letters of Paul. Paul writes in part to the church in Ephesus, to the Ephesians, in chapter 4, starting with verse 11. He says, "He gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers. His purpose was to equip God's people for the work of serving and building up the body of Christ, until we all reach the unity of faith and knowledge of God's Son. God's goal is for us to become mature adults, to be fully grown, measured by the standard of the fullness of Christ." These are holy words, and today we contemplate that preparation for ministry, that cultivation of our gifts, and I'm going to invite Jim to come forward and share a little bit about his journey with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
We should have had you doing children's messages much sooner. That you can tell he's a grandfather, right? That was really some beautiful moments.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
And you did a great job getting up and down, too.
Yeah, well, that I can still do.
Wonderful. So, Jim, you and I come to ministry at a different, maybe non-traditional point in our lives, having already had significant work experience in other professions, you being a physician. We think of medicine as a science, and we think of art, maybe, or faith, as an art. And I'm just wondering now, as you've completed your profession and now this educational journey, how do you think about those two, and how have those two worked together to form who you are today?
Well, I think back when I was deciding about going into medicine, I had an illusion that medicine was what you could explain everything in medicine. And that actually grew out of an experience I had as a Quaker when I was a college freshman and went to Boston to work in a children's camp, inner city children's camp, and realized that as a white young man born into privilege, that there was a whole lot that I couldn't get across to or didn't know about the environment where I was going in this inner city project in Boston, and I said to myself, if I'm going to help people, I need to bring to them a specific skill to them, and that's really what launched me into medicine. And it was interesting to find out as I got into medicine that this specificity that I thought was science, there's a lot of art to medicine, an enormous amount of art to medicine, and lots of crossover about being able to talk to people about important things in their lives. And sometimes actually as a doctor, I would find out these things about my patients when I would read their obituary or attend a funeral, and I was surprised how much I missed as a doctor. And I think that's what drew me to start this journey.
Thank you. Tomorrow is graduation, correct?
Actually, it's a graduation
weekend
bonanza. So yesterday, there's one today, and yes, tomorrow will be the official graduation.
Event.
Correct.
How exciting. So you are finishing this degree, and then the path towards ministry has all kinds of bumps in the road. What did this journey confirm for you, and what came up that you didn't expect, or what were their surprises?
I think what it confirmed for me was that this was a proper place for my gifts at this time in my life. And you talk about the art involved in this kind of role or work. There's certainly room for that. There's certainly ample opportunity for creativity. And I just felt, okay, this is the right fit. These are my people.
I think we would agree.
Well, you all have been very generous about that. And what surprised me, actually, was, and I had no idea about this, was a call by God, I think, to lend my voice on behalf of this wonderful creation that we have. I was assigned in our theology course, we were urged, saying, no, we're not just going to sit here and talk to each other about the intricacies of theology. I want you to go out and find a practical application. And I immediately thought, oh, maybe I'll go to a soup kitchen or some sort of shelter. And then the professor said things like that, or something to do with climate change. And I put the words theology and climate change together. I had never put them together, ever. But when you really think about what we're dealing with, it's not a scientific problem, and very few of us will do inspired things and change our behavior because of some scientific fact. In fact, I had issues with persuading patients to do certain things or take medicines based on the scientific fact, because it wasn't enough to carry the day. But the problem I think that's underlying climate change is this deep sense that we need to change our relationship with creation, and we need to confront how monetary greed or just trying to accomplish and dominate has created this situation. And so I think that's a spiritual journey and needs a spiritual message. And that's what I intend to concentrate on going forward.
Wonderful. We're so grateful for everything you've contributed to the life of this congregation in this year, your presence in worship, your contributions to the WISE team and our mental health efforts, the Depression series that you were a big part of, and of course your advocacy for the stewardship of our creation. But this week you did something a little bit different. There was an op-ed piece in the Hartford Courant this week that Jim wrote and was published. Yes, worthy of applause. For the people who didn't get to see it or read it yet, tell us just what was your main point, and then can you just reflect for a minute on how justice will impact what you do next?
Well, I'd say justice, or maybe I'll frame it another way, injustice, the injustice of the world has been a huge surprise to me. Like I told you, I come from a family of means. I'd always been able to do a lot of the things I wanted, and just the injustice that has been perpetrated by certainly now what we're seeing out of our own country, but in general has been kind of staggering to me, because when you look at what the message of how life can be and of the things that Jesus advocated, and you see what's here on the ground, that is alarming. So getting back to the op-ed, well, you need to know the backstory, which is David saying, I think that might be really interesting, a op-ed piece you written from the point of view of being a doctor and also now on a spiritual path. That might be really compelling. So I put that back in my brain. And I had the privilege of studying with Reverend William Barber, who made a huge mark in North Carolina, staging what he calls Moral Mondays. Every Monday they would march to the legislature. He's now doing the same thing federally, and they're organizing a Moral Mondays movement. He was, if you can believe it, arrested for praying in our nation's capital, which is now the norm of the current occupants. And so I had, one of the assignments in class was to present to a fictitious Senate committee. It wasn't really fictitious. He was acting as a senator, his assistant was acting as a representative, and we had to defend our public theology position. And I presented one on the immorality of cutting Medicaid, cutting services and access to health care from people who need it the most, from a large, very popular program in Connecticut, one in which my daughter has been instrumental in expanding in the 6 states that still refuse to do it. And so David's prompt and Judy's facility with making things heard, I actually was able to take that Senate presentation, turn it from a Senate testimony into an op-ed with the ever-present assistance of Mally. Nothing leaves my desk without Mally, my wife Mally, seeing it. And the specific subject expertise of my daughter, who is in Medicaid, a Medicaid advocate nationally, working for the American Cancer Society. So it just came together because, David, you had, as I've seen in the workings of how you work in this church, you have all the pieces together and you know where to pull them together and to create a beautiful result.
Thank you. Thank you for your work, for your advocacy on behalf of those who potentially could be cut off from health care and benefits. I am sure that we will hear more from Jim as time goes on, as he remains always a friend of this congregation.
Absolutely.
And Mally too. But as is the custom in the United Church of Christ, we do have a formal litany for us today to honor your time with us. And I'm going to ask our moderator, Heather Wolf-Taylor, to join me here in the front of the sanctuary, and all of you can look and follow along in this litany, which is printed in your bulletin. The life of our religious community is fluid, ever-changing with new lives, new visions, new possibilities, and new ministries. In September, we welcomed seminarian Dr. Jim Cox-Chapman, and today we say a farewell to Jim, who has successfully completed his internship and the requirements for the Master of Arts degree from Yale Divinity School.
I thank the members and friends of the Rocky Hill Congregational Church for my experiences during this academic year. I thank you for your love, I thank you for your kindness, and I thank you for your support. I was challenged, stretched, and my experience gave me good tools with which to do ministry. I was given the freedom to create a ministry with you, and I thank you for your acceptance of my ministry among you. I celebrate the things we are able to do and hold hope for all the work that the future holds for this church.
Join your voices. Jim, we are grateful that you came to learn the practice of ministry among us, growing into the compassionate and visionary minister we know you to be. Your influence will not leave us. We celebrate this milestone with you and look forward to all the ministry that you will do in the future. If you're comfortable, extend a hand towards Jim and let us offer together this prayer. Spirit of life and love, we have been moved by Jim's presence and work. We are grateful for his special gifts, which he will take with him, and by which we have been changed. We bless Jim as he completes his educational journey in preparation for future ministry. God, we trust that whatever ministry he undertakes in the future will be done well with great love, compassion, and a heart open to learning from all that he does. Jim, you go forth with our blessings and love. And Jim, surrounded by our love and our hopes for your future in this wonderful faith that we share, you are released from your internship. Blessed be and amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As I tell my wife, I am now on school break for the rest of my life.
Second, let me
Stay right there, Jim.
stay right there.
Okay.
So, as David said, thank you so much and for everything you've done. And on behalf, especially of the mental health team, we thank you for your contribution and the education you provided during our mental health seminar that we had. David mentioned that the traditional gift that we give to someone completing seminary is a stole, and I wonder if you would be able to take this out and just show people so I can explain. When David mentioned that, he showed several options, and I looked over them, and this one particularly immediately caught my eye. If you can't see from the back, it has a stylized road, and the artist described it as a road into the future, or the road that God puts in front of us. When I saw it, I was immediately reminded of the Palm Sunday sermon that you preached, which was about Jesus on the road to Damascus, and Jim encouraged us all to untie the donkey and be part of Jesus's journey and be part of his mission and his service in the world. So that's what I thought about when I saw it, and I hope that you'll have your memories of us as you wear that.
I will think about all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Thank you.
Friends, we have just a few announcements as we think about the coming weeks, and I want to share them with you. Coming up, of course, after the service, we have our meeting with our architect. Next week in worship, Liz Reed Swale will be preaching. We're looking forward to that. The following week, Betsy Bostwick will be offering the word to us, and she'll be joined by guest organist Anna Pan, who will be presenting a Bach postlude, so you will want to be here for all of that. June 11th, that's a Wednesday. If you are interested in membership in this congregation, send an email to me. RSVP will be having dinner in the Fiorelli room, talking about what it means to be a member of this church. And then we will have Youth Sunday, and then, of course, a new member Sunday and our annual meeting. And mark your calendar for Wednesday, June 18th. Nedelka Prescott is a globally recognized recording artist. She is an amazing vocalist, and she'll be presenting a special concert here in our sanctuary. You will want to be here and bring a friend for that. And I think we have one other announcement today.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Margie from the WISE team. I wanted to let everybody know that tonight in the retreat from 5:30 to 7 p.m. is our first family support group for parents of children with mental health needs. This will be occurring every other Sunday from 5:30 to 7. It is open to all members as well as open to the public. Thank you.
Such vital ministry happening here. Church, as we rise to sing our closing hymn, I invite the children to follow Bridget and Pastor Lauren for a special time that she has planned with them.
And now our time together this morning in worship has come to an end. But there's still work to be done. And may that be done in your spirit, O God, with your presence always. And now, as you depart this place, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm on your face, and the rains fall softly on your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Go now, my beloveds, knowing that you are loved by God.